All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Slay Goals interview series. I'm your host, Felicia L. Henry. I'm the founder of Seek God Slay Goals. Super excited to be here with you guys tonight. Another interview in our pop up season of the Slay Goals interview series. I'm super excited about our guests. Before we hop into the interview, do me a favor, share this broadcast out, share it on your pages, in your groups, share it wherever. We are going to have a very real and raw conversation tonight with Miss Summer Joy, and I'm excited about what she is going to share in her testimony and her transformation. If you are new to Seek God Slay Goals, if you have never heard about us, we are a Christian lifestyle brand that helps the Christian woman, Christian millennial woman, to enhance her health in the spiritual, economic, emotional, and physical health areas. And so if you are interested in being a part of our community, we have a Facebook group. It's called the Seek God Slay Goals Movement, and we would love for you to be a part. And so I am not going to, belabor the moment. We're not going to do a whole bunch of small talk today because I want to dive right into this conversation. So I'm going to read a little bit of Summer's bio, and then I'm going to bring her on and we're going to chat. So, Summer is a proud member of Ebenezer Lamplighters Ministry, which is located in South Philadelphia. She is currently in the process of writing her first novella, LGBT Lost Girls, Broken and Transformed, where she talks about her journey from being lost in homosexuality and transformed by the blood of Jesus and the renewing of her heart and mind. During this COVID-19 pandemic, the Holy Spirit dealt with her in a tough love type of way to get started with the ministry that was placed in her 4 years ago. And so LGBT Love God Boldly Together was birthed. The goal of the ministry is to have those hard and transparent conversations that we normally are afraid to have in church, and to create a safe space where we can have mature, adult, respectful discussions, form accountability partners, and spread the love of Jesus Christ and the gospel. Summer is also a spoken word artist and uses this gift to minister to both believers and non-believers. On her free time, she loves to play basketball, write, and enjoy nature and gardening. Summer is also the director of operations of a grassroots organization called Children of Paradise, where they meet the needs of children with special needs and inner city youth. Y'all, we about to have a good conversation. So welcome, Summer. Hey, Summer.
Yes. Hey,
How
what's
are
up,
you?
Felicia? I'm good. I'm good. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm super excited. Super excited.
I'm so excited. Thank
So
you. Thank you.
let's just go. Let's just dig right in.
Let's go.
Always
Let's
my
get
first
to it.
question. My first question. We read your bio. We see you on social media. We kind of see what you're doing, what you got going on. But
Yeah.
outside of all of that, who is Summer Joy?
Outside of all that, well, first, I still got to give credit. I'm the daughter of the Most High. I am, so on fire for Jesus and just so excited about what God has been doing in my life. Um, I'm a daughter. I helped take care of my mother, who had a heart transplant a couple years ago, and God has just been so good to us and our family. Um, I'm an auntie. I love taking care of my nieces. I've been missing them during this COVID because they normally stay with me every other weekend. But it's been kind of good. They ain't been driving me crazy, but I do miss them. um, yeah, like I love children. I love the youth. I love giving back. I love serving. Um, so yeah,
I
that's
always love that. Like, I'm super excited. We were talking before we came on, and I was just like, oh, like a couple months ago, I just kept seeing Summer's name pop up on my timeline, and I'm like, let me see what Summer has going on, because we hadn't talked in a long time. We used to
yeah,
go to GE together, and we hadn't talked in a while. And then I just
right,
saw all this stuff coming up, and I'm just excited to. I
yeah.
haven't heard the story. I just see what I see on social media. So
Hmm.
let's just dig right in. Marissa's on. Thanks for watching, Marissa. Thank you for tuning in. Um,
Oh, hey Marissa, that's my friend from high school and Penn
hey,
State.
Marissa. So um let's get into it. How is
Hmm.
it that you grew up in the church? How
Hmm.
did you get lost in homosexuality?
It started early. I mean, it started really early. Far as like my sexuality goes, I always felt different. Like
Mm.
I can remember being as young as 5 years old in elementary school and having these attractions to girls, like feeling like, okay, I know how mommies and daddies act towards each other and how they love each other and look at each other. Why am I looking at girls this way? Like this is not normal, right? And I knew that it was wrong. Like growing up in the 90s, you hear the term gay, you like, oh no, I'm
Right,
not gay.
right.
I don't want to be gay. Like it was like a taboo. It was wrong. It was nasty, right? And that's just how I looked at it. And I knew it was a sin. And so for the longest, I dealt with that internally, like with God, like
Mm-hmm.
asking God, like, why am I like this? Why do I have these feelings towards girls? Like this is weird. Like, why did you make me this
Mm-hmm.
way? And for the longest, I was really frustrated with God. I'm like, God, what is this? You
Right, right.
know, I know we are supposed to be attracted to the opposite sex. Like we are supposed to like girls are supposed to like boys, right? And I was really, upset about that. And so for the longest I held that, and that was just something that, just me and God knew about,
Mm.
right? And I can remember getting to high school and seeing other lesbians. I played on a basketball team, so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just keeping it real. The lesbians was there, like they
Right.
was comfortable with who they were, how they dressed, how they looked, and I just remember thinking like, wow, like they look so free and happy, like
Mm.
being like themselves, and they just seem so free, right? And I
They
I
seemed
remember,
free.
huh?
Okay. I said they seemed free. We're gonna come
Exactly.
back.
Exactly. We're gonna come back to that. And so I'm just like, man, I'm like, why can't like I remember like saying like, all right, like God, I want to be like I want to be happy. Like I want to be able to express how I was feeling
Mm-hmm.
inside, right? Like I'm talking to God. Like I always had this really very interesting relationship with God. Like I would talk to God like, yo, God, what's up? Like why you listen? And
Like,
so
what
like
you want
I've
to do?
always, I've always been like that with God, right? And so I can remember, like talking to God saying like, listen, God, I've been dealing with this for years since I can remember being a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, like I want to be able to just be happy. And so I remember consciously making the decision to act on those feelings. Like I remember
Oh
saying like,
wow.
God, this is it. But whatever you do, don't punish me. I'm gonna be good. Like I'm gonna, I remember saying like I'm gonna get like all the good grades. I'm gonna,
Mm-hmm.
be the most respectful person. I'm gonna be the most kind person, loving person. Just don't punish me for this.
Mm. So this
I remember
conversation was like, this was in high school.
this was in high school.
High school. Okay.
This was in high school. I was about 15 years old. And I remember just really praying to God about it because I was like, I knew it was wrong. I knew it was like a sin.
Mm-hmm.
But I was dealing with it and I just wanted to be happy because I felt like I was getting depressed. I felt like I was like, they get to God, how come they get to be like that and not me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so dealing with that and battling with that, I finally like was like, God, this is it. This is the day. I'm going all in. I'm going all out. And I remember, I started, dressing like a guy. I got I was already really good friends with my friend who soon became my first girlfriend. Right. So everything kind of was happening at the same time. And so
Mm-hmm.
it just felt natural. It felt right. And honestly, like I was happy. Like I was happy. It wasn't like I was like still, secretly, like upset. or
It wasn't like a conviction, like you weren't convicted about it. It felt good.
I felt like, listen, I had my talk with God. He already know where I stand. I'm like, anything anybody else gotta say, that's on them. But me and God, we talked about this. Like, we cool. So I felt like
you were good.
God already knew my heart and what I was dealing with. So I was cool. Like, that was my mindset. Like, with it. And honestly, I felt like that was what allowed me to just not care and be who I felt like I was at the time.
So during that time, I know you talked a lot about you having these conversations with God. Was there anybody connected to you who was a Christian that you talked to about this, or was it just you straight was only in a communication with God about it?
Yeah, I remember talking to someone. Like, for the most part, I kept it to myself. It was just a me and God thing. I didn't even talk to my own mama about it. And for the most part, we talked about a lot of things. I do remember having a conversation with someone in church. Like, I opened up to someone in church about it. And that was the first and last time, because I got shut down. Like, it was like I expressed how I was feeling and what was going on with me. And this person flat out just was like, well, you're going to hell, right? Like, you gonna burn in hell, right? And I'm just like, dang, that was cold. Like, I'm trying to like express what's going on. You asking me, questions about my personal life, because I mean, I was dressed like a guy, but I wasn't like saying, yo, everybody, I'm gay. So
right.
Like, and so she, I just was like talking, and it, I felt comfortable enough to share that, and then it just was like, you going to hell. I was like, dang. And so that was the last time I talked to anybody in church about my sexuality, about what was going on. It was either you just assume, and I wasn't volunteering any information. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
So during this time, what did your faith look like? I know you said you had the conversation with God, but when you were like full blown in a lifestyle, what did your faith look like? Had you kind of given up on your faith? Did you still communicate with God after you were, made this decision?
It was different levels, honestly. So in the beginning, I was obviously communicating with God all the time. I was in high school. I was going to teen ministry. I was, on a choir. I was active, right? And so I think with me, what shift was college. Once I got to college, that was when the connection with God really started to depreciate. Like, it just went down. Like, I could probably count on one hand how many times I went to church when I was in college. And that's 4 years.
Wow.
That's 4 years.
Yeah.
And so I remember feeling really disconnected with God. It was no conviction for anything. Like, it was just, at this point, I was doing me. I was really just having fun. And I was actually in a relationship with a girl who was an atheist, so that didn't help at all.
Wow.
Right. And so, but I mean, it was just crazy, because besides her being an atheist, like, she was a really great person, like the sweetest person, right? And so yeah, all those things, like, it was no conviction, it was no relationship. Like, I don't even remember like praying ever, like being in college. Like, it was just nothing. It was nothing really there. Like, I can't remember going to like certain Christian events, like concerts and stuff, that the students would have, but it wasn't church. Like, it was a concert. And that was literally the darkest times, because I can remember saying, this how dark it is. when you really living with no conviction, like you just, I can remember saying stuff like if someone was talking to me and they was like not sure about their sexuality or was hinting that they like girls or whatever, I'll be like, girl, come on over to the dark side. I would say
Oh,
stuff,
wow.
yeah, like come on over to the dark side. Like it was like, now when I think about it, I'm like, yo, like that was crazy.
Right,
Like that
right.
it didn't even like register. I remember I would say stuff like, um, I'm going to hell anyway.
That's
Like,
deep.
come join the party. If I'm there, it's a party. Like it was, and it was no, I didn't even feel like when I think about it now, I'm like, yo, dang, that was kind of crazy. Like I was really
Yeah.
just like saying like, come, like
But
I'm
at the
going to
time
hell.
when you were like in the lifestyle, like you were in the sin, it had no effect on you.
It had no effect on me. I wasn't like I wasn't feeling any conviction. I was living. I was happy. You know, I'm in college. The girls were, I mean, they was open. Like
Right.
sexuality, it was just free, right? And so I was just really just living it up. And I can't believe, like I said, I think about it now, and I think about the stuff I would say, and I'm like, yo, I really used to talk like, I
Yeah.
really used to talk like that, and that scares me now thinking about it. Like, yo, why would I say that?
Right. Right.
Why would I say that? And really just was like, yeah, come to the dark side, or yeah, it's gonna be, if I'm there, it's a party in hell. Like what?
It's
Crazy.
it's deep. It's deep. So we're going to talk about the transformation. But I think we're talking about homosexuality, but I think regardless of what the sin is,
Mm-hmm.
it's still sin is sin. And so I
Yeah,
think we all can relate to maybe not being in as deep, but we all have sinned. We
yeah.
all have been experienced seasons in our lives where we
Mm-hmm.
were in some stuff that we shouldn't have been in, and we
Yeah,
just did not have that same level of conviction that
right,
we should have had. Like I know it's times I look back on some stuff and I'm like, what was I even do? Like what was I even doing?
right,
Why? What was
right,
happening?
right.
But that's what sin will do. It'll take away your conviction, and you just find yourself
Completely.
in situations that you never thought you would be in
Yeah,
situations where you said I would never do this, and
yeah,
you're doing that same thing that you said you would never do, because
yeah.
sin, it takes away that conviction,
It,
and it separates you from God. It really does.
and yeah, and I can remember where and I think I told this, well, I told this story before, but I I can remember the moment where I just really felt like I was too far gone. I
Mm,
remember it was a Saturday night. I was at a party at college, and after the party, I went to another girl's dorm room, and we in there, we chatting it up, we chilling, and then another girl come over, and it's just the three of us, and now it's getting late. People, ain't nobody really trying to leave, to go home. So we just
right.
like, all right, we all gonna just stay. And long story short, right? But some things went down between the three of us, and I remember waking up and looking at my phone and looking at the calendar, and it was Easter Sunday.
Oh man.
I was like, did I just do what I think I did the morning of Easter Sunday? I remember saying, this is it. There's no coming back from this. God is done with me. I'm really going to hell now. Like, I might as well just live it up. I might as well just YOLO, one life. Like, I was just like, at this point, it was like, I was just like, how can I not know? Like, I was so
That's so deep.
devastated by that. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I was so devastated by that, and I was just like, dang, it's Easter. And instead of me going, all right, let me repent now for my sins, I went the complete total way and just was like, God done with me. He didn't wash his hands. I might as well just keep going. And
that's what the enemy will do. He'll fill you with so much guilt. You'll feel like you're just
yeah,
too bad to go back to God. Tiffany said, yes, when you're in sin, it does feel free. And that's when the enemy gets you. Yep.
yeah,
You think you're free, but he really has a hold on you. And you really then feel like there's no coming back from this. And you don't even try to go back to God. So, oh my gosh, this is so good because this is so real. And I know people can relate to it, whatever
yeah,
type of sin they're in. So,
yeah,
and even just the fact, like, we don't even talk about this kind of stuff in churches. We don't talk about homosexuality. We don't talk about sexuality at all. And these are conversations that just need to be had
yeah,
because it's people going through this stuff in the
yeah,
churches.
yeah,
In the churches.
yeah,
Marissa says Satan is a deceiver and father of lies. We can't let him get to us. We serve a
yeah,
way more mighty God. Yes, yes, yes.
yes, yes,
So
Marissa.
okay, so you felt like you couldn't come back from that. Now let me read this line in your bio, because when I read this line, I was like, yes, yes. Let me find it, because it
Okay.
was good. Okay. So it says, so we're going to talk about your book. It says she's currently in the process of writing her first novella, LGBT Lost Girls Broken and Transformed, where she talks about her journey from being lost in homosexuality and transformed by the blood of Jesus. Yes. So tell us
Mm,
about the transformation. What did that really look like? What did the process look like? So from that moment where you were
mm.
like, I can't come back from this, what did the process look like for you, your transformation?
Right. So it was some years that lapsed from that moment. So that was around 2011, 2000, probably like 2010, 2011, was when I felt like I was done. Like I
Right.
was done, right? And so around 2013 was when I started to feel the tug. Like
Mm.
God was like, daughter, you had enough fun. Let's reel this
Come
thing
on
in.
back now.
Right. And I was like, oh no, he ain't talking to me. I was like, he ain't talking to me. So you can't be calling me after this. And so I just was ignoring it, right? Hey, all the signs. Hey, all the signs was there. And I'm just like, you can't be talking to me.
Right.
And I remembered so that was, yeah, so God was talking on my heart. And then I still ended up getting into a whole another relationship. After I
We
was
don't be listening. We do not be
we
listening.
just don't be listening. And I remember during that time I was like starting to like not, it was weird because I was starting to not see myself settling down with a woman, like marrying a
Mhm.
woman, having kids with women. And so that alone like kind of threw me off. But I just was like like I
Right.
ain't know, I was like, no, this is who I am. Like really trying to hold on. And so I still, I was in this relationship and it was, it was good. And, I was like, I found out, that she was a woman of God, like she was in church. And I was like, oh, for real? Like, I'm all like, whoa, because my last
Right.
girlfriend, she was an atheist. I was just
Right.
like, and so I'm trying to invite her to my church. And she's like, no, you should come to my church. So I finally gave in, I went to her church, which is this church that I go to now in South Philly, Ebenezer Lamplighters Ministry. Shout out, woo woo. And so I found out she was a woman of God. She going to church or whatever. So I was hyped. I was like, oh, hold on, like I'm thinking now, like this might be it. Like she
Mhm.
might be the one, right? I know,
Hilarious.
hilarious, right? So long story short, we ended up breaking up. Um, it was so random. The breakup was so random. I didn't see it coming. It was just one of those things where it was just like, what happened?
Mhm.
Like, everything was fine.
Right.
Like it was just, and so we broke up, and literally the next day, same-sex marriage became legal in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't even 24 hours that passed. And that was some things that she was talking. We was talking about moving in together, getting a house. I was actually doing, we did a rent to own program for a house. Like these were like, we was like really talking about settling down. And that random situation occurred. We broke up, and then same-sex marriage became legal. And I was like, oh, did I just dodge a bullet? Like, God, was that? I was starting to like now be like, hold on, God, like, what was like,
right?
What was that? Like, so once again, God is starting to like do, show me things, and I'm just like, wow. But still just not listening, but now, still feeling the tugs. And so I'm still going to church. I'm still going to the same church. I became a member at her church. And I can remember when I first went to the church, like my first day going, I had this wall up, right? Because I was so used to going into churches dressed like a guy and automatically being judged and looked at and hearing the little sneers and snurs, and, and so I had this wall up, trying to like, put on this persona, like I ain't gonna let it get to me, right? And the complete opposite happened. So I get into this church and everybody is embracing me with hugs and love, and I was like, "Ooh, this is different. Yeah, let's bring it in," because I'm a hugger. Like I will hug you all day, right? And so I was just like, whoa, like they sung this nice song, the Jesus and me loves the Jesus and you. And I'm like, okay, yes, church. Right. And it was different from what I was used to, because this was a small storefront church, family church, real intimate church. And so, I wasn't used to that, right? And so I'm sitting in the front row, I'm listening to the preacher, I'm taking notes now. I had a notepad, I'm taking notes, and my relationship with God started to grow. Like the intimacy with God started, like I started to really wanted to seek God more and to learn more about God and to build a relationship with God. And I could remember, my girlfriend at the time was sitting next to me. We in church and the preacher preaching. And I remember looking over at her just feeling like, yo, this is so wrong. Like, this is like, it was like, I felt like, it was just, I felt the conviction. I'm like, yo, this is, and I'm still trying to shake it because I'm like, it's my girlfriend. Like, I can't just, and so during that time, like God, like I said, God was dealing with me. He was getting my attention. Like I remember feeling the tugs, and I remember just still kicking and screaming, but I was aware of everything that was happening, right? I was aware of what was going on. And so the day the transformation really happened was at a women's conference. My church have a women's conference every year, and it's 5 churches combined. And we was at the Desmond Hotel, and it was, real nice. I'm suited and booted, had the bow tie on, the vest, I'm ready to receive the word, right? And and seriously, like I remember, so it was a Saturday night service, and shout out to all the mothers of the church and the elders. Woo! It was this elder, Mother Brown was there. She was a member of another church, and I remember she started the service and she told everybody to stand up to pray before we get started. And I remember, I'm standing up, I'm praying, and as I'm praying, I started hearing like people talk, and I'm like, open my eye, and I'm like, people done sat down, they looking at me. I'm like, oh snaps, I didn't even know I was praying that long. Like it felt like 2 seconds. Like everybody just like, can you hurry up? Like I'm like, dang, my bad. So I'm like trying to hurry up the prayer. And I heard Mother Brown say, no, leave her alone. Let her finish. But I'm like, nah, I'm done. Like, they waiting on me. Like, I don't want no beef. And so, and so right when I was about to sit down, Mother Brown had called me up to the front. And I'm like, oh man, like, what she want? Like, why she calling me? I'm sweating. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, why is she calling me up here? Like, leave me alone. And so, all right, so let me just stop right there, because about a month or two before this, I remember being in my room, really praying to God, y'all, like on my hands and knees, crying, asking God. I'm praying like, God, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to change? Like, why are you trying to change me? Like, this is all I know. You know, I was with girls since I was 15. Like, I had never, was in a serious relationship with a guy.
Right.
I had never had sex with a guy. So I'm like, God, what are you doing? Like, just this is what I know. This is what I'm comfortable with. I'm like praying. I'm like asking them all these questions. Like, what are my friends going to say? What are my family going to think? What am I going to wear? Like, I got all these men clothes. Like, what I'm going in. I'm just like interrogating God at this point. I'm just like, why are you picking on me? Right? Like, why are you picking on me? Like, just let me live. Just let me. And so, all right, so now we back with Mother Brown. I'm walking up to the front and I'm like sweating. I'm nervous. I'm like, oh man, I hope this lady don't got me, gonna have me up here falling out, whatever. And so, when I got to the front, she just hugged me and she whispered in my ear, it gives me goosebumps. She whispered in my ear the answers to all the questions that I was asking God in that prayer. And it was verbatim. It was like she was there. It was like she was in the room, because the way she answered the questions was like, and don't worry about this, because God is going to have this. And like, she just gave me, it was just verbatim. And I remember just thinking like, I'm free. So I'm like, oh my gosh, how does she? I'm like, oh snaps. Like, it was just a crazy encounter. And I was like, God, I know this is a sign from you. I don't need any more signs. It don't get no clearer than this.
Come on.
You win. Okay. And I remember just surrendering it all right there on the line, right then and there. I was like, God, I'm done. I don't need no more signs. Because she answered all the questions that I had, that I was really crying to you about, that I was really seeking you for. And it was just so that moment was just so, it was God. It really was.
Oh, that's so good.
It was God. I couldn't even shake it. I couldn't even like try to be like, yeah, nah, she just good. She just a good talker. No. And so I'm crying at this point. I couldn't even stop. The tears was just, now mind you, that was Saturday. I ain't stopped crying till Sunday. I'm on a van going back home. I'm still crying. Everybody's like, Summer, what's wrong? Why are you crying? I couldn't stop. It was just the tears. I couldn't even when I tried to talk, I'm just like, and then the tears would come. And I'm sitting on the van, dropping back, the tears is falling. I'm like, they didn't even know what was going on with me, but I knew. Right. And I knew that I had given up the life.
Girl, you about to make me shout on this here. Listen, that is so powerful.
I knew that everything I knew was done. That the life that I lived was over. And I felt already a new person already. And I couldn't even understand it. And I'm like, God, you got me all crying. I wasn't supposed to be crying. Like,
listen, I'm about to tear up. I'm like, don't do it. But this is so good. It's so powerful.
And so I'm like, I'm like, God, it was just so crazy because now I'm like, what now? What you, I'm like, what you, I'm sorry, I'm hot. I gotta tie this hair up, child. Why you, whew.
Listen, the Lord
And
doing his good
so,
work today.
I'm like, what now, God? Like, my closet is still filled with these
Mhm.
with these suspenders and bow ties, okay? So what now? And I just knew that um I had to, so even though I had broke up with my ex, after I broke up with her, I started dealing with someone at my job, right? It was like a fling. It was like she was available. It was what it was. And right before the conference, this conference was in October 2015. Right before this conference, I was just in Jamaica with this woman from my job. We was just
Mhm.
boo loving it up. Like, you know? And so I'm like, yo, how do I tell her that when I come back from this conference, I ain't coming over your house? Like,
Right, right.
I'm like, so I go, like, I straight up was ghosting her. Like, I didn't know what to say. Like, I just was like trying to like tell her like I'm going through some things. I need some, I need a moment to myself because I just was like, I didn't know how to tell her. Like, and so, during that time, I could just remember, just the presence of God around me. Like I could just remember feeling so empowered and free, like really free. Like what I thought was free
Mm,
before,
come on.
I was like, whoa, like this is new. Like this is a different feeling. Like I'm like, God. And then instantly God started answering prayers that I prayed years ago.
Wow.
And because like I said, that was October 2015. And it was like the like the middle end of October. Don't you know? For about 6, 7 years, I was praying a prayer to God because I have a sister on my dad's side who was in a crazy situation, and it was just not safe, for a child. And I remember just always praying for her, praying that I could get her. Like, can I just, like, I know I'm young, but can I just have her? And I remember
Mhm.
just praying to God about her for so long. And don't you know, the next, like November 2015, I get a phone call. I'm in church and I hear this little girl voice, and I'm like, who this? And she like, it's Tiana, your sister. Tiana, where you at? She like, I'm sitting on your step.
Oh my gosh.
You sitting on my step? How you get there? I remember where you live from years ago. What? Don't you know that day she was on my step waiting for us to come home from church? I still have her to this day. I got
Jesus.
custody of her.
Oh
Every
my gosh.
like instantly things, prayers that I was praying, God was just giving it to me. I was like, that's all I had to do, God. I just had, you was tugging, but I was like pushing away.
Obedience.
Obedience.
Jesus.
I'm like, I was just blown away. I was
Wow.
blown away. And I'm like, now feeling like, oh my gosh, like my sister is here. I was praying for her. And God was just showing, like I said, God was just showing up. It was like, it was just, whew, it was just so good. And all the things I was worrying about, what people going to say, the
Mhm.
clothes, everything, God provided. Listen, the people in my church, my pastor, I got so many gift cards from Macy's and Old Navy and Ross, all these. That was just, the money was just, I was just like, oh, shopping
Listen.
spree. God was providing, like all the things I was worried about, going to my job. I'm like, oh man, like they about to talk about me like a dog. Like, what Summer got on? Ain't she? I'm like scared to even go to work, right? And so I get to work, and just the complete total opposite. Everybody is just like, Summer, you look so pretty. Come here.
Wow.
look at you. And even then though, like I remember, like people at my job knew I was a believer. Like they knew that I knew God.
Mhm.
And so I remember hearing some of them say like, and I'm talking about people that, who probably, wasn't a believer or who didn't go to church and wasn't, really into it.
Mhm.
They was even saying stuff like, girl, what is God doing in your life? Rub some of
Come
that on me.
on.
And I'm just like, come get some,
Come on.
come get some. And it was just mind blowing. I'm like, God, I was all worked up for nothing.
Oh my
And he just
goodness.
was showing up. He was really showing. He was really showing up and showing out. And I just was like, God, you so right. Like you just made this so easy. I thought now don't get me wrong. I still was very like I said, I was scared. Like it
Right,
was
right.
like I tell people it was like if you ever know someone who was closet like before they came out and they like was scared to come out, like that's a very scary process. Like I remember coming out to my mom, like that was scary. It was
Mm,
like, what do I even say? Like,
right.
how you gonna feel? This go round, I felt like I was coming out again. Like I was now
Mm,
like a new person to the
right.
world. And that coming out was like scarier than the first time. It was
Wow.
way more, it was more intense for me. So I just was like, I'm like, God, you gotta, I'm like, you gotta do something because I can't do this on my own. Like, you gotta show
Mm,
me, you gotta guide me because
on.
I don't know what's going on. And that's why I say, like, he really just came through. All the negative thoughts I had ain't even happened. All the stuff I was thinking, I'm just like, God. And I could remember, like I said, like now walking into this new life, you know, the peace of mind, the like the love of God, I could remember like how did I really think that God gave up on me? Like, no,
Mm,
I was the one that gave up on God. A lot of
right.
times we be in our sin, in our mess, that we forget about God, but God never forgot about us.
You never
God
forgot about
has,
us.
God has a call for our lives. Each and every one of us, we have a purpose. We were here for a reason, and God wants us to fulfill, the promise that He has for our lives. But we have to line up with it. And a lot of times, we do our own thing. We do our own thing, and
Mm-hmm.
we get so caught up in the world that we don't even put ourselves in a position to align ourselves with the life that
Yep.
God has for us, which is way better than the life we think we want.
Right.
Way better. And so I remember thinking like, whoa, God, okay, what's the call now? Like what you didn't call me out of this.
Mm-hmm.
What
What
is it
now?
that you want me to do? Seriously. Because now I just want to live this life pleasing to God. Like
Yeah.
I had this burning desire in me to really live a life pleasing to God. Like all the other stuff, it didn't at this point it didn't even matter. The girls didn't matter, the sex didn't matter, the lifestyle didn't matter. I just really wanted to please God. That's it. And I just was like, all right, God, what's the move? What's
Mm,
the move? What's the move? And of course I was fighting that too, because we hard headed.
right. Right.
But yeah,
Wow. Oh my gosh. That was so it's so much that we can just say. That is like
it
a
is.
powerful testimony. So one of the things that kind of stood out for me was the fact that you were able to kind of begin your transformation in church, but it was because you received acceptance and love from people in the church, and you weren't
Hmm.
shunned from it, as
Yeah.
opposed to like when you first mentioned how you went and talked to that one person and they shut you down and told you was going to hell. That didn't do anything for your transformation or for your journey.
Nope.
But these other people, they were really kingdom minded, and they,
Yes.
we all have our stuff, and they loved on you. And it was through that was kind of like the beginning of the
Yeah.
transformation. Even though God was, he was pulling on you, he was tugging
Yeah.
on you. It still
Yeah.
took people to kind of help you along that journey. And I think that's just a lesson for all of us in the church, in the
Mhm.
body of Christ, is that we have to love people
Yep.
where they are. Everybody has their different
Yes.
struggles. You know, we
Yep.
can't be so condemning
Yeah.
because somebody else's sin doesn't look like ours. Okay, we
Yep.
may not be struggling with homosexuality, but you might be fornicating, you might be an adulterer or a liar or a gossiper. All these other things, they're still sin, and we still have to love people where they are, because like you said, God did not give up on them, and so we can't give up on them. We have to be the church. We have to show the love of Christ to
Yes.
these people. And so I just think that was so powerful. And
Yeah. And
um
yeah, and I remember like that day when she told me that, like, listen, I remember not going to church for like 4 months after that. Like, I just stopped going. I just like, I don't even want to see this building. Like, and it took a lot for me to actually go back. Like, I had
yeah.
to really just be like, all right, God, I'm going to church. Like,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
but like you said, it was love. It was
Yeah.
love that welcomed me. They didn't judge me. They loved me right where I was. The season that I was in, you know, they, they loved on me and they
Yeah.
welcomed me, and they didn't make me feel different. They didn't make me feel like my sin was, the worst thing.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, we don't know what people dealing with. My
Right.
sin, mine was visible, my clothes, whatever. But we don't know what people dealing with.
Yeah.
And so, that really stood out to me. Like, that really kept me coming. I really was, and I say it all the time, like, it took for me to come to this small, intimate church to really
Mhm.
experience the love of Christ. I was just like, wow, because I would have never, never
Yeah.
thought that I'd be a member of a small church. I wasn't used to
Right.
it,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
so, it was just like, wow. But they outlove any church, any big mega, all these churches that I
Mhm.
would, would go to.
Yeah.
They outlove them. They outlove them. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that is so good and powerful. And just that moment of surrendering, like, oh, it's so
yeah,
real.
yeah. Because it was you have to. I mean, it's hard. The flesh don't want to. The flesh want to do what the flesh want to do.
Right.
But I remember thinking, like, in that moment, like when she was talking to me, I remember thinking, it's now or never. Like,
Mm.
it's now or never. Because I knew if I didn't do it now, the next day
Jesus.
was gonna come and I was gonna forget about the moment, and it was just gonna be, I was just gonna.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going, like, it was, and honestly, like, I started thinking, like, these next, years on earth is, living it up, doing what I want to do, ain't gonna be worth, not spending eternity in
Jesus.
glory, with God. I was just like,
God.
it wasn't adding up. I was just like, it
Yeah.
ain't worth it.
It's
you know,
not worth it.
it just wasn't. I'm like, all right, I probably lived to be about what, 70, 80, like, worth an eternity with
Mm.
grace. And
Mm.
so I was just in that moment,
Man,
and I just was like, Lord, you really win.
you win. You
You really
win.
win.
And then when you were saying how once you surrendered, how all these prayers just started getting answered. I don't know why. God has been dealing with me about obedience, and we've been talking about it in Bible studies, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like God has so much for us. He wants so much for us. And a lot of the times it's just us. He's waiting for us, like you said, waiting for us to get in alignment, waiting for us to be obedient, waiting for us to surrender. And we're trying to hold on to what we think, like you said in the beginning, what we think is
We,
freedom.
yeah, what
And that
we
ain't
think
even it. And
is
when we
not
really surrender, we see, oh God, this is what you had for me. And this is so much better.
so much
This is
better.
so much better. Oh
I
my
can't
goodness.
even like count on my fingers how many aha moments I had. Like, oh God, that's why.
Oh my gosh, this is
Like,
so good. And I know it's blessing people because I'm sitting here like, God's dealing with me with some stuff. Girl,
listen, come
it's
on,
so
we gotta
good.
talk about it. And that's why, love God boldly together. That's how it started. Like,
Yeah.
cause I started noticing, like when I first started being open on social media with, the deliverance, right?
Mhm.
When I first started talking about it in my posts and stuff, people was, how people slide in the DM, right? So people would slide in my DM and be like, Summer, like, yo, like, I admire what you're doing. Like, I can agree with you because, I've been gay for such amount of years, or I've been lesbian for such amount of years, and I feel God tugging on my heart about the lifestyle,
Mm,
but I feel stuck because I'm in this 10-year relationship or this 5-year relationship, and I don't want to break this person's heart. Or
Jesus.
I feel, and I'm talking about the saints, sis. The
Come
saints
on.
that was struggling with their sexuality, reaching out to me saying, you know, Summer, like how did you get to that point? Like, how
Yeah.
did you really surrender? Like, and I'm like getting all these inboxes of people really, expressing their like asking for advice, like
Yeah.
how did you get there, because I want to
Right.
get there but I don't know how to. And I'm
Right.
like, God, I'm like, my gosh, like, and I'm talking, I mean, people who sing on a choir, who
Come
are
on.
ushers, who
Yeah.
and they struggling with their sexuality. They don't feel like they could go to anybody to talk to, about it.
Yeah.
They don't feel comfortable going to the pastor or the deacons
Right.
or whoever or whatever. And it's just like they need someone that can relate to what they're going through and has
Mhm.
now gotten on, been delivered from, because they wanted to. And
Yeah.
so that was when, God first started, like placing in my heart, like, okay, like, all right, Summer, people need a space to be able to talk about these
Mm.
things.
Yeah.
And like you need to do something about this. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I need to do what? I'm like,
Like me.
I
Me
need to
do
do
what
what?
now?
Talk about what? Nah, God, you ain't saying that.
Uh,
Nah. And
right.
so I ran from that call. I ran from it. I just was like, so I just was living my life, walking in this deliverance and enjoying it. And God is like, oh, so you just not gonna do what I said, huh? I'm just like, do what? What you say? What you ain't say nothing to me. I don't know what you're talking about. And quarantine.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow.
It was like, what excuse do you have now? You
Yeah.
you you're
Yeah.
not so busy
You
anymore.
don't have an
You
excuse now.
you don't have any excuse. You home all day,
Every day.
every day.
What now?
Like, and like, so what?
God's
So
like,
what?
check me.
And I'm like, and I felt so like,
Oh
for
my
real
God.
though, God, like, you really want me to do this? You really want me to do this, huh? And he's just like, well, you know, people still struggling,
Yeah. So
you
what
know.
did you say to that person though that is struggling? And they really, they feel the tug, but they in between, but they have the desire to be free. What do you say to them?
It's a faith thing, it's a trust thing. You gotta really trust that God is going provide, he's going to show you, he's going to be there every step of the way. You have to really just trust and put it all on the line. I like, and it's hard because I was, I know, because I was there. And I remember, for me, like I said, the thought process was just, okay, God, like, you gotta show me. I can't do this on my own. We can't
Right.
do it on our own strength, like on our own, and so I would really tell them, like, if this is something you really desire, like you really desire to live a life pleasing to God, desire a life that's holy, you know, you really got to take that to God. You really got to let him know. Like, you can't even be like, don't even be all passive about it. Like, yeah, God, I think I want to be delivered from this. Like, no, I was on my hands and knees crying to God that night. Like, what is it? You got to show me. You got to come to me. Like, you got to make this thing plain and clear. Like, I need to know it's you. And like if you serious about it, and you really got to take it to God and let him do the work in you, because the work is going to be getting done. Like I remember, and I say heart transplant because it's around the time my mom was getting an actual heart transplant, but I was also getting a heart transplant too. And God was working on my heart, and just naturally I wanted to live according to the word. It was just like 1 + 1 always equal 2, right? So it was just like, okay, like I want to walk this walk, God. Like, I want to be serious about it. I want to be for real about it. I want you, to use me. And the crazy thing about it is, and that's why I say, like, people like, oh, do you regret your life and your past? And nope, not at all. Because had it not been for the relationship that I was in, I wouldn't have never met the church that I'm at to now, where I was showed the love of God. If it wasn't for her, if it wasn't for that relationship, my North Philly self will not be in nobody's South Philly.
Yeah.
Like,
right? All things work together.
All things work together for our good, and God. And that's the thing. Like, God will use your past, the things that you did in your past, to help other people get through. And that's what I felt like God was calling me to do. Because, like I said, people was reaching out. People was already reaching out to me. And I'm like praying to God, like, God, what's this? Like, where are these people coming from? And he was just like, they seeking, they want answers. And I'm like, well, God, like, that's why like how I came to you. He was like, no, but they, people as humans, like, we want to be able to relate. We need to be able to talk to people that been through some things, that went through what we went through, and to feel like, okay, there is hope. There is, and so I'm like, oh man, God, like, all right. All right, I'm gonna start. And then I remember, like, even the name of the ministry, LGBT Love God Boldly Together, like, that was nothing but the Holy Spirit. Like, I couldn't have thought of that on my own. Like, that was just
so good. It was so good.
I couldn't, like, listen, I was sitting there trying to think of something, like, what am I gonna call this, God? Like, I don't even know what to name this ministry. Like, and all I could remember hearing was love. I'm like, love, because like love was what helped, was what got me. And I just remember, like, all right, yeah, okay, love, all right, love definitely gonna be in the name. And I'm like trying to like figure out a title, and then I remember just seeing LGBT, and I'm like, all right, yeah, God, like, I know it's about LGBT. And he's like, no, like LGBT, and I'm like, God, what are you saying? And I can remember he was like, you said love, and I'm like, yeah, all right, God. He's like, all right, G, LG. I'm like, oh no, you're not. Oh no, you're not. I'm like, oh no. I said, I'm gonna need some boldness to do this, B. Oh. I said, all right, God. Dang. It was like, you want me to name LGBT? I said, you really gonna have them coming for me now? Like, I might as well, like, I'm like, they about to come. They gonna be coming for me.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, but I'm right here, and I'm gonna be protecting you, and you just, you don't need to fear none of that.
Right.
And I'm just like, all right, so this ministry is gonna be called LGBT Love God Boldly Together. Really?
It is that's so divine. Oh my gosh.
I was just like,
God, okay. Like, sometimes God just do stuff and you can't even say nothing back. It's just like, all right, okay.
Yep.
And that's, oh my goodness, it's so good.
Yep.
So tell us, we could sit on here all night, but tell us, so you told us about the ministry, but tell us about the book you're writing too.
Yeah. Once again, LGBT. God is like, you gonna use all them letters, that rainbow. We
The
taking back that
rainbow, yes.
rainbow, okay?
Taking
Listen,
it back because it's biblical.
it's biblical, and people make it seem like so my friend had made a post because he had did a live, and he had put the name LGBT, he hashtag, you know how he put the hashtags LGBT, he did the whole 9, right? And someone commented on it and was like, how dare you use the rainbow? That's blasphemy. And you do know God created the rainbow, right?
Come
You
on.
do know that was the sign, that was his covenant.
Open the Bible.
I'm like, that's not blasphemy. Like, God created the rainbow. Like, he created that. I said, all right, we taking this. All right, God, you're so right. Like, that was nothing but God, like, giving me. And I'm just like, all right, so, and like I said, like, God was pretty much saying, like, you had all that pride using them letters and that rainbow when you was in the world. Now you're going to use that and you're going to win souls to Christ. And I just was like, ooh, okay. Like, and he's like, don't worry about what they going to say. And people tried it. They was on my post saying, oh, girl, maybe you should change the letters around. Maybe you should do this and do it. And I was like, nope, that's not what God said. That's not what he told me. So they was trying to say, oh, maybe you sure? Because you might could get sued and all this stuff. And I'm just like, really? Who own these letters? Who own, like?
Come on.
So, I mean, I was just like, I can't change it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm sorry, like, not sorry, but you know. So, and so the book. So, what'd you say?
When is it coming out?
This summer. I'm gonna drop a date. I promise. I'm gonna drop a date. It's coming soon. It's definitely gonna be this summer. It's LGBT and it's lost girls broken and transformed. And like you mentioned in the Bible, in the bio, is my life, y'all. Like, this book is my life, seriously. And even writing it, like, it's taking me back to like moments that I've had and like coming through. So it's been a journey. So pray for me, y'all. Writing this, finishing up this book. It is almost finished. And so it's literally the journey from when I was a little girl, figuring out, like, praying to God, wondering why I'm having these feelings, all the way up into now with Love God Boldly Together. So it's you know, I'm trying to keep it as PG but real as possible, because I really want the reader to know, like, what was going on with me, what was, and so it's a journey. And I mean, I'm nervous, but I'm excited about it.
Tiffany said, drop the date, sis.
Drop the date.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And just the testimony, it is just so, man, it's so good. It's so good.
I mean, because you think, like, I know that when I was in college, right, I had took certain classes, like sexuality classes and all this stuff. You learn all these things, right, in colleges, like, and so I remember I was in this one class and people was talking about like sexuality, and they was saying like, well, the people that's gay or people that's lesbian, it's just a phase. And I remember I would get so mad at people that said that, like, what you mean my life is a phase? My lifestyle, like, no, like, this is who I am. Like, this is my life. Like, how dare you say this is a phase? Like, I would really go in. Like, I would like, no. Like, and I could remember, because like how people would say, like, they think that they was born a certain way. Like, I'm like, well, explain how I was 5 years old feeling attracted to girls. Like, and I would, like, I just, at the time, like, I didn't know how else to, like, explain that to people. Like, no, like, I've been new. Like, it wasn't like something happened to me. And, unfortunately, that is some people's situation where something happened to them, and, they felt like though they couldn't trust the opposite sex. But that wasn't my story. Like, that wasn't my story. Like, nothing happened to me to, I always struggled with it my whole life.
Wow.
And yeah, and so my whole life. I mean, yeah, and it's like I would really get frustrated with people because I'm like, no, this is who I am. And so like with people like now when they see me like this and they be like trying to say like, oh, Summer, you been this and this, like, no, like I know it's hard to I know it's hard for people, especially like I still have friends that's in a lifestyle. I still know people that's in a lifestyle, and I know that it's hard for them to grasp like what had like the whole deliverance, like
Yeah.
because I remember being them. Like I
Yeah.
remember when I would hear stories of people being delivered from homosexuality, and I'm like, yeah, right. Like once
Right.
you gay, you gay. Like, but now, honey, I know. I know it's,
Yeah.
deliverance is real because here I am now. I would have never
Right.
guessed that this
Never thought.
would never thought like it blows my mind still to this day. Like,
Mm.
cause I remember how I was so
So
into
deep
the
into
life.
it.
Like
Yeah.
so the
Well,
whole
it's
nine. The whole nine. Like I was in it. Like I was in it. And I don't know how else to explain to people that it was no conversion therapy. I get all kinds. My inbox, if I could really show y'all
wow.
some of the stuff that
And
I
that just goes
read.
to show that people really need. They need your voice. They need your testimony. They need to see you living this thing out.
Yeah,
Just for them to be able to see how God was able and His power and how He just worked and moved and how He did it. It's gonna just change so many lives, and I'm
yeah.
so excited, so proud of you. Like
Thank,
I
thank
can't.
you. Thank you.
I gotta get off this live because now I gotta go cry because it's so
God,
good. Oh
like,
my
yeah,
gosh, it's so
yeah.
good. So
Thank you though.
let people know how they can connect with you, stay connected with your ministry. Just
Mhm.
let them know all the details.
Yeah, so we're definitely on Instagram at Love God Boldly Together. Um, and we're also on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Love God Boldly Together. I was, doing Instagram series, live series, but I'm gonna move everything to the Facebook page. So I'll be having some lives coming up. I'm trying to think if I want to just wait till I'm done this book so I can just focus on that. But I have some people in mind where I'll be bringing them on because so many people been reaching out to me like telling me how God delivered them from
Mm,
homosexuality as well. So I just want to hear everyone's story, right? Because there's
right.
always, a testimony out there to be heard. And so I'm just excited because, like I said, there's so many stories out there. People been like contacting me. And so the lives were on Instagram, but now they're going to be on Facebook. So if you follow Love God Boldly Together, Facebook and Instagram, like all that information will be there. And yeah.
Y'all get connected with Summer. I'm super excited. Follow Love God Boldly Together.
Yeah.
Everybody who tuned in, Marissa, Tiffany. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna say your name right. Kalia,
Oh, Khalid. Her name is Kyla.
Kyla. Okay. Author Lawanda. Y'all, thank you for tuning in. This
Yeah.
was so good. This was so good. I don't even
Yeah.
have no extra comments. I'm just I'm wrecked in the spirit. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we definitely listen. I love everything that you're doing with See God So It Goes. Like it's just so good. And I love your consistency. And it's just thank you for having me and reaching out. We
oh,
definitely
thank
gonna be
you.
hopefully doing this, some
Yeah,
more.
we're gonna
Yeah.
be doing it again. We're gonna do it some more. So I'm super excited.
Yeah.
But thank you again for coming on, for sharing your story. Y'all get connected with Summer. Stay connected with us. Seek God Slay Goals on
Yeah.
Facebook and on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And until we'll be back here again next week, Monday and Friday, for more interviews. But
Okay.
until then, you guys connect with us on social media, and y'all have a good weekend. Thank you, Summer.
Thank you. See you.